From the Agricultural Revolution to the Scientific Revolution. Episode 2. In My Father's House There Are Many Mansions. In the first episode, we explored how the Agricultural Revolution brought people together into sedentary settlements, which started the development of social institutions. Now we will look at the beginnings of religion and follow some of its cross-cultural influences to the beginnings of Christianity through the Protestant Reformation. It is common for an inspirational mystic to lie at the root of a religion. Zoroaster and Zoroastrianism, Abraham and Judaism, Jesus and Christianity, Muhammad and Islam, Gautama and Buddhism are all examples. The Indo-European pantheon led to several pagan or multi-god religions focused on natural elements. These included the gods of Greek, Roman, Germanic, Nordic, and Celtic traditions. One of its greatest influences was on Vedic texts and Hinduism, which accounts for 15% of the current global population. One of the most interesting offshoots of Indo-European mythology was Zoroastrianism. It had unique features such as monotheism, messianism, belief in free will and judgment after death, conception of heaven, hell, angels, and demons, among other concepts, have influenced other religions. Abraham lived in the early second millennium. Sometime in the 13th or 12th century BCE was Moses' exodus from Egypt, and in 722, Israeli refugees from the northern kingdom fled Assyria to Judah with the traditions of Yahweh, which started as a polytheistic pantheon, including Asherah, Baal, Shamash, and Astarte. Yahwehism was adopted by the elite of Judah, who placed the young Josiah on the throne. In 622, Josiah and his supporters launched a bid for independence expressed as loyalty to Yahweh alone, introducing the monotheistic tradition. The Torah was first transcribed in 539, after Jerusalem fell to Babylon. It had been verbally transmitted since the time of Moses. Almost 100 years later, the Torah was adopted as Jewish law in 444 BCE. At year 0, Jesus of Nazareth was born in Bethlehem to the tribe of Judah, and 33 years later the world would never be the same. The majority of what we know comes from the last 3 years of his life. Tales of a new covenant, redemption, eternal life, and miracles served to inspire belief by early Christians and were blended with many other themes from the Bible. James, the brother of Jesus, and Paul were the two most prominent figures in first-century Christianity. They were balanced by Peter, who with Paul brought Christianity to Rome. The Bishop of Corinth said, "They taught together in like manner in Italy, and suffered martyrdom at the same time." Their executions were around 64 CE, when Nero instigated a gruesome persecution of Christians to blame them for the fire that destroyed the Circus Maximus. Peter was crucified upside down out of respect, ensuring that he died differently than Jesus, while Paul was beheaded because Roman citizens were not crucified. Constantine was the first Roman emperor to embrace Christianity after his mother Helena inspired his conversion. In 312, he ruled that Christians should be allowed to follow their faith without oppression. Constantine's armies went on to establish the Byzantine Empire. In 325, he organized the First Council of Nicaea to formalize Byzantine law. There were 7 such ecumenical councils, with the last one in 754. During this period, the Nestorian churches and the Oriental Orthodox Church separated from the Roman Church. Then, things remained fairly stable until the Great Schism with the Eastern Orthodox in 1054. The Protestant Reformation was catalyzed by two developments. First, in 1439, Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing press with movable type printing. Although the literacy was less than 10%, now there was something to read. Second, the oppressive nature of Catholic dogma inspired social change. The Inquisitions were particularly heinous. However, when the Church funded the construction of St. Peter's Basilica by aggressively marketing plenary indulgences, or favors in the afterlife, Martin Luther couldn't take it anymore. He was compelled to publish his 95 Theses in 1517. Major developments that came from the Protestant Reformation include Martin Luther and the Lutheran Germanic split, and King Henry VIII forming the Church of England, creating the two main lineages of Protestantism. The Lutherans split again almost immediately when French theologian John Calvin created the Reformed Church. The Reformed Church further split, leading to the Presbyterians and the Congregationalists. The Anabaptist lineage also split from the Reformed Church, giving rise to the Mennonites, the Amish, and the Unitarian Society. Meanwhile, in 1558, the Puritans separated from the Church of England, and in 1609, John Smith and the Baptists separated from the Puritans, believing in a salvation decision followed by immersion baptism. In 1620, Pilgrim Separatist Puritans established Plymouth in Massachusetts, and by 1692-1693, the Salem witch trials took place. The Church of England further split into Anglicans and Methodists, and the Anglican lineage took on the Episcopal identity. Other Christian faiths include the Latter-day Saints, based on Joseph Smith's visions and interpretation of the Book of Mormon in the early 1800s, the Pentecostal movement in the 1900s, and the Evangelical movement starting in the 1940s. Now that we have taken a brief survey of religious origins and the history of the Christian faith, we can see that there has been an amazing drive within humanity to understand our nature. We seek explanations in the natural order and create explanations for reality that become cultural identities. In our next episode, we will look at a way out of the doctrine and dogma of religion. We will see how advances in logic, printing, measurement, and method give us a way to have transparency and scrutiny while discerning the truth. We will look at the history of the scientific method.